clap. Matty Healy.
I'm here. I made it.
Am I getting half a Matty Healy?
Pretty much. That's the best that I can do at the moment.
I saw George going to catering and he said, ooh.
Yeah, it's people who haven't... People think that jet lag's just being a bit tired, but when you actually experience it properly, like we've had, so I can't sleep during the night time.
Yeah, because that's when you're performing.
And then I'm all over the place, but it's fine. But it's kind of not.
It's at a positive mind frame. You got to go.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to deal with it. I just feel like a maniac.
Yeah. So we've spoken 11 times in the history of our friendship.
Okay.
And I've asked a million questions about music, and I'll get to some. I've written down some newies, but it is difficult to come up with kind of new content to ask you.
I bet it is. Yeah.
So what about this? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I don't really know. I mean, I think that what I struggle with at the moment, I've stepped away from my phone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you're trying to be more social in the presence.
That's the whole thing. What I've realized is, right, that when I've put the phone down, and I'm not saying like I've quit social media or whatever, because if I feel the need to do something, I go in and say something. But what I've realized is that I've actually got interests again. Mm-hmm. There's things that I'm interested in, and there's things that I'm not interested in, as opposed to just being vaguely interested in everything.
Okay.
And when I've got my phone, that's how I feel. Like I'll just look.
Yeah. And it's like a concert. I always watch, especially a 1975 concert, the 1975, young girls recording somebody else.
That's true. I think that I'd say that whole thing on stage where I talk about, I try and get people to put their phones down. I try not to tell them to put their phones down and just remind them that maybe they don't need their phones. But I think that I get it. I think that we live in a world now where it's just a big forum, isn't it? And the way that you validate your experiences is by sharing them. That's just how we communicate now. So it's even for me, if I see something engaging, the first thing I think is, fuck, let's record it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel a bit like I've spent like most of 2016 being quite like scared as well. Like actually scared of stuff. Like scared for...
I mean, the world's a pretty fucked up place.
Yeah, the world's going up in flames.
Yeah.
Just fearing for my safety, fearing for the safety of like friends of mine who are like Muslims and black people and stuff like that.
You've got 8,000 people, 9,000 people who are going to be watching your show tonight. That's a populous place.
That's the whole thing. What I tend to do with that dynamic, because it's difficult, you don't want to bring the mood down, but you also don't want to pretend, like we said, that the world isn't going up in flames. So all I tend to do is remind people that superficial things like music, concerts, things like that, regardless of normally how they're regarded, they're quite important at times like this. You know, loads of like-minded people in a room for one reason and a positive reason. That's a good thing. And I think they're more important now than ever. So that's kind of how I justify.
Music's a celebration.
Yeah, because a lot of the time with all the shit that goes on, like every single day there's something horrendous and saddening happening. It kind of makes you feel like, well, what's the point in being in a pop band?
Yeah.
And then I kind of remember that, you know, it's to give people a release from all of that.
Do you think music's in a good place?
I don't think it's for me to say. I think that
but your own personal opinion, like.
But when I say that, I mean, if I had an opinion, it wouldn't be objective. It's like it's really difficult. I'm pretty sure that throughout history, everybody has always thought that what preceded it was better, and that this time is rubbish. So I'm sure that all the bands, all alternative bands in the 80s, were harking back to other times, all this kind of thing. But,
That's
you know,
fair.
I wasn't there. I don't really know. I think that there's pop music. A lot of pop music is kind of lacking in value. I just think that we have so many massive pop stars at the moment. And there's this big gap as well.
Yeah.
There's kind
Huge
of like there's
between
a really big gap.
Jack Garrett and Justin Bieber.
Exactly, like enormous, bigger than it used to be and stuff like that. And people aren't really creeping through, and that's a good example that like those two artists. And I think that And you see somewhere in the middle, you know, of course there's artists with credibility who stand for something, and there's amazing people that I love. But let's talk about like big proper artists. We're now living in a time, and, you know, I'm not talking about being particularly political or like making social music, but people just aren't talking about what it's like to be a human as much as I'd like it to be.
Okay.
And people might say that I don't enough, but I mean, I don't know what I do, but I know that I'm being really, really honest. And I'm not saying people have to come out and start talking about, you know, terror or racism or something like that. But there's just not a lot of value.
Yeah, okay. So there's this bit of substance to it.
Well, yeah, I think like I think what I'm talking about is kind of like lyrically.
Yeah.
It's just all
especially
torch songs.
How do you? I mean, you write your own music. Could you have you? I'm obviously I'm going back to even EPs. You would have written everything. You've written every song that the 1975 has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure there's some co-writes on there. No. That's just
Well,
you.
I mean, co-writes in regards to the way that it's a democracy, like
of course.
within the band.
Oh no, I'm just what I meant. I was talking exterior.
No,
like Eddie
no,
Blanco
never.
hasn't
No,
come and
I've
worked
tried
with you or
that. It
something.
just doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work with me. No.
Okay. So you've got the album out. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's my favorite record so far of the
Thank
year or
you.
last year.
That's amazing.
When it came out. But you're an artist. You're an interesting human. I imagine that you could never, and I might be wrong, you've never stopped writing or thinking about the next project. I'm not trying to make you visualize what the next album is.
No, well, I mean, I suppose I am. I'm starting to do a bit more so now. I'm kind of at the stage where I was in the early stages of the last record. I don't, you know, I'll piss and moan and be like, oh, I'm doing too much. I need to chill out. And then, you know, this is something that it's a necessity for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of my purpose. I need to be doing this.
Mm.
So I don't ever really stop. So, I mean, I'm bending George's ear because George has been off with his broken arm for 10 weeks.
He's 3 shows back in. It's good to have him. Exactly. Is that a new energy to have back in?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we've not obviously lost touch.
Of
We've
course.
been talking to each other every day, but since he's back, I'm just kind of piling every album 3 idea on him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to deal with it, but it'll happen soon.
I'm a massive fan of hip hop, and I love chatting to hip hop fans and getting real deep with them. And I love chatting to artists who release their album and they're so thankful they did it before Kanye dropped The Life of Pablo, or Kendrick dropped Good Kid, Mad City, or To Pimp a Butterfly. Does any music challenge you? Do you listen to an album and go, okay, that's now the bar? Or
not in. In regards to standards, if you're talking about kind of non-subjective quality, then yes. There's no artist that we listen to and think, oh, we need to be like that or like sound like that. I mean, I think that like let me think of somebody. Like James Blake, for example.
Mm-hmm. Great chance.
I'm in awe of him. He's a lovely person, but he's so unbelievably talented, and what he does resonates with me so much. And then I also, on one hand, appreciate that we're totally different artists as well. You know, like he's
it'd be hard to compare a comparison.
It'd be very hard to draw a parallel, but he's so yeah, I think that those are the people that kind of keep me up. And then when you're talking in a more kind of commercial sphere, I look at people like, the crowd of people that creates the Rihannas and your Drakes, and do you know what I mean? Like all those songwriters and all of those producers, and you know Drake himself, Rihanna, like work the song. It's like one of the best songs of the past 10 years.
Really?
And that's weird
people
for
hate
me.
it.
I know people hate it. It's weird for me as well because I'm very much like a lyricist or whatever.
Of course, and it's just work.
Exactly,
work,
but
work,
there's
work.
there's something intangible about it. It's just genius.
You're not big on collaborations to this point.
I just don't think I play well with others creatively.
Because I
like
know
the idea of it.
Yeah, because I'm sure for you that music is always evolving. I wondered on this next album whether you're opening yourself up to the idea.
It's hard to talk. I mean, at the risk of sounding pretentious, it's like the way you sum it up is kind of. It's not me making these records. It's not really something that I do, as opposed to something that I don't know, I am.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, it would be like somebody getting
As to not sound
It would be like
pretentious.
somebody doing it, exactly. It'd be like somebody trying, I mean, that's going to be the worst quote ever. But what I mean is, it's like somebody else trying to write your diary. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's yours.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't like it. I like the idea of it. And then when I'm presented with it, I get a bit like, nah.
Yeah. So last time we spoke, you were in Sydney, and at that point, had come out. I got that right, because we discussed that. Love Me, and I think that might have been it at that point.
Yeah.
So the album hadn't come out completely. We've spoken on the phone since, but I've got to tell you, the song that I connect with most is Nana.
Oh, wow, okay.
And yeah, I just love that song.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a symbol on your chest about you.
Yeah.
But what a symbolic woman in your life. How did that connection for you come? Because I couldn't imagine. I'm lucky that she's still around, my grandma.
Yeah.
How did that woman influence your life to the point?
Well, I think it's that kind of maternal presence oversees everything, doesn't it? Because your mother has a relationship with her that parallels your relationship with her, and my nana was just kind of like one of the people that, you know, those kind of people, when you grow up, those are the first people that you kind of learn like the shape of and the smell of and the tactility. You understand it. And my nana for me was I don't know, almost like a memory before she died, because she was so like, what's that thing that Slash says, like, in order to be truly iconic, you need to be recognizable in silhouette.
Okay, yeah,
so from the age of like 5, my nana's silhouette was defined. She always had like a perfectly judged nails and hair, and she was this kind of almost like an idea. And then because she was always the same and always like this kind of familiarity, very old when she died. So
she had a good life.
Yeah, she had an amazing life. The dynamic had changed. I mean, it's difficult to say how she impacted me, but I think the fact that I'd want to talk about her a lot kind of says a lot. You know, she's quite a powerful woman.
I want to grab the album for a second. If Kim, you could pass me that album. How did this song? Oh,
there's no track listing.
Isn't the track listing?
No.
The last song on the album.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
How did it make the album? Because for people who know, it sounds like you're in a hotel room. There's 23 seconds essentially of silence, except for a couple of coughs and, you know.
Yeah, I was in the hotel. Well, we did that a couple of times. I recorded it on my phone, and then we tried it a bunch of times in the studio, like properly, and it just didn't have the right vibe. So we were going to go with the phone version, and then, you know what it was, actually? I'd recorded Nana. And you know, there's a bit in Nana where I like start crying a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit teary.
It's a bit, and I like get a bit choked up. Well, after that was the last take we did of Nana, and Mike was like, made me stay in the room, and he got my guitar, and then I did that take of She Lays Down. So that's why there's all the silence at the beginning.
Because it's weird. That could be like one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah, I mean, me too. It just felt like, I think what it was is I really wanted to, it was such a complex album musically and so unresolved. I wanted to end the album with an open G. Just that. And I think that kind of inspired the whole idea, and then I kind of ran away with the song.
Hello, I'm Angus O'Loughlin.
I'm Matthew Healy.
And this is my YouTube channel. We're on it. You're the first person on it.
I've been tricked into this.
Yeah, he doesn't know this exists. But Matt is the first subscriber to it.
I don't have a YouTube, but I will.
Yeah.
So you have to.
Of course.
Am I selling your YouTube channel?
Yeah,
now?
tell them how good it is, even though no one's seen it.
Is this the first video?
Yeah.
It's not very good.
It's a launch video.
It doesn't matter. I will subscribe to it though. But I have been tricked into doing this.
And
I didn't endorse it. But I didn't endorse it.
No.